the topic at hand. So today we are going to be discussing about deployment, and my question will move to Sharath first. And Sharath, deployment, your choice and why? It's a two-part question. What did you choose, the methodology, and why? I would request you to focus predominantly on the why. How we have deployed it, I think we have a separate series on that. So the why aspect is what I would be looking at.
Yes, Nitin. If I have to be brief, probably I would say any of the cloud platforms which give me end-to-end right feasibility to deploy is my first preference or first choice. But again, as Bernie has mentioned, the cost factor comes into the picture, and if your client is willing to take that burden, if they are inclined towards getting the results quicker, faster, and for that they compromise on a little bit of additional cost, then always prefer cloud platforms, because these are readily available solutions and you just have to be doing a click away. Cloud platforms are built to do all this. And there's very important aspect that you need to remember is the ML ops standards. Any deployment that we speak about, whether it is a machine learning, whether it is any other solution, it could be a very simple mobile application development or any software development. There are certain standards that we have to follow, and these standards are nothing but your MLOps standards. And this is another very important aspect that is picking up post-COVID era, like I said, where the focus on these post-deployment and post-model development aspects are focused heavily on. As I said, I would choose AWS for a simple fact that it is the most widely used cloud platform, and their services are very, I should say, simple, easy, and versatile. You'll also have a lot of customization features. So there you go. That's the solution. But again, if the cost is a primary factor, then you'll always can fall back to any of the open source platforms. You'll have to have the web UIs, then you'll have to use the tools like Heroku or any other cloud-based platforms for deployment. There are many open source tools like TFX, we have Kubeflow, MLflow libraries, which can. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Sharath. I was just kind of a little distracted about your answer. You mentioned about anything can be, chosen. All the cloud platforms are equally good. So again, this is not related to deployment, but maybe Bharani can answer this question. It's totally off the track. Why is it that in most of the JDs, the three cloud applications that are there, they expect people to know all the three when anything is good enough? I mean, could you, sorry, it's supposed to be about deployment, but quickly, if you can answer that.
Yeah, sure. So, India predominantly is service-based industry when it comes to IT, information technology. Yeah, we Infosys, TCS, Wipro, Accenture, Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, EY, and Capgemini, and HCL, and bunch of companies. And all of these companies cater to different customers from different industries and sectors and domains. They might cater to Novartis, they might cater to Google, they might cater to ICICI Bank, they might cater to HSBC Bank, they might cater to Tata Motors, they might cater to Volvo, it depends. And we cannot expect every customer to use the same cloud environment. A few of them might be more inclined towards AWS. A few of them might go with Microsoft. A few of them might go with Google, right? And these are the major players. They have the might of money. They have the might of intellect. They have the might of data. So combination of these make them very competitive in the market. While it is oligopoly, wherein there are a lot of players who are competing, we predominantly see these three players, big players, competing extensively. This is one thing. And the second thing is we also need to bear in mind that if, say, Coca-Cola, for instance, says that I want my data to be placed on AWS, then the immediate thing that they would look at is PepsiCo also hosting their data on same servers on AWS? While AWS says, and every other cloud provider says that your data is secure, we would not have access to your data. We would not try to meddle with your data. But still, the big players have their own inhibitions. They might feel that, what if Amazon gets access to our data? What if Amazon tomorrow wants to enter into food and beverages industry, right? And what if we have PepsiCo also, which is hosting data on AWS? Would AWS then trade off our data with PepsiCo for some price, some insider trading? Is that a possibility? Maybe yes, maybe no. We really are not sure. So the clients might say that we want to place our data in different other cloud provider environments. So it becomes imperative for us to know all of these different cloud providers, right? That's my take, Nitin.
Okay,
With respect to
thank you. The last bit was pretty interesting about competition and things like that. But yeah, while it is in theory, the very fact that in theory, if you see that, will Coca-Cola know if Pepsi is having their data in the same cloud platform as where they propose to go? In theory, it is not possible. But I think we are beyond theory now, I think. So we will leave it at that and just move on. All right. So, Bharani, coming back to the question at hand, I mean, of course, I had taken a slight detour there. So, deployment. All right. So, what is your favorite? Because you've been instrumental in researching about a lot of deployment tools. We have been discussing in the last 8-9 months or so, new things that have been coming. So, with reference to the ease, etc., what do you feel?
Okay, there are two things once again, Nitin. Rather than I speak about my favorite, I would probably try to, pitch these two against one another. That is on-premise deployment versus cloud deployment. When it comes to cloud deployment, the good part is you need not do a lot of programming. You need not worry about too many integrations and all that. Cloud would take care of a lot of those things. It's just on a click of a button, you would deploy a model. And you can deploy the model on a mobile application or a web application or a business application. And the end users can readily start using the model that you've built. However, if you do that, you would become, you probably will get latched on to that cloud environment. Tomorrow, if you want to switch from one cloud environment to another, it might be costly affair. Migration might be costly. You might need human resources to handle the new cloud onto which you would have migrated your deployment, your models. And if you get overly dependent on one of the commercial cloud environments, what if they increase the price of cloud usage? You will have no other option than to, go ahead and spend more money. So given all these risks, people are trying to have on-premise deployments also. Okay, and for security aspects and various other aspects, if people have already invested heavily on their own data centers, then on-premise deployment is what they prefer. And it also depends on, the maturity of the organization, how much they rely on the different continents which have the prowess over the cloud, environment. It depends on various other factors, right? So while we have cloud environments wherein you can deploy the model, it will make your life easy in terms of maintaining, in terms of deployment, in terms of reduction of time to deploy the model. For all that, cloud is more preferred. But If you are very wary about your data security, data privacy, if you feel that your security norms are far stronger than these other players, then you might want to save your data on your own environment. For example, Coca-Cola, right? Especially Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages India Private Limited. They have the data on their own premise because they are very, very keen to ensure that they protect their data. They do not pass the data to the outside world for whatever reason. So for those kind of people, on-premise deployments make more sense. So it's again horses for courses. We need to understand the client requirement, and then we should judiciously take a call on whether on-premise makes more sense or cloud deployment makes more sense. We need to look at human resources, the skills that they have, the knowledge levels that they have, what is the learning curve with respect to the different cloud environments, and versus if it is on-premise, you need to have a system administrator, network administrator, database administrator, and are you willing to spend that money? That's a call that we have to take
All right.
before deciding upon cloud versus on-prem deployment.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bharani. So, Sharath, I was just recollecting your answer, and then given that you people are extremely experienced, you have unbeknownst to you, you sometimes drop certain words. So you used something called as MLOps. Now, a traditional data science student, while knows MLOps, the word, and maybe very, very rudimentary information. So could you probably spend maybe a minute and a half or 2 minutes explaining a little more about what MLOps is vis-a-vis the deployment?
Yeah, sure, Nathan. Yeah, thanks to bring that question. It becomes very imperative and very, very important for today's data scientists or students or participants who want to build their career in data science. The point is, as I mentioned, pre-COVID era and post-COVID era. Prior to COVID, the data scientists used to follow a standard methodology which was called as CRISP DM. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of our participants are familiar with that terminology, CRISP DM. But this CRISP DM methodology has certain challenges, like what you do for ensuring that there is continuity of your model in the client's deployment or after deployment in the client's infrastructure. Is this model going to continuously work as it is going to be be there for new data also? Because businesses tend to change, and when businesses change, when their vision change, or then when their priorities change, the data also gets queued. It also gets adjusted or changed based on these visions or whatever the parameters that we try to focus upon. Now, if data is slightly changing, then the new data that we get and the old model that we have already placed in the infrastructure may not gel well. That means the performance of the model would not be appropriate. It would not give us the desired results. Hence, we need to ensure that the maintenance and monitoring, this is one of the important aspects that has been brought into the standard methodology, that is your CRISP MLQ. So CRISP DM, you can say, has evolved and became CRISP MLQ. This one ensures that the post-deployment activities are also considered. So if you talk about any software, you need to ensure that the development itself has happened in such a way that it can be easily deployed at the end user, and there is continuity with respect to the model's training and usage or functionality, you can say. So to ensure this happens, there are certain standards that we follow. These standards are called as MLOps standards, machine learning operations, basically. And students who come from development background, probably they can very easily catch up the word. There is something called as DevOps, development and operations, right? So that is basically getting involved in machine learning world now. And this is a very, very important phrase that is catching up. We'll talk about more on these lines, Nitin, permitting a brief amount of time for this topic.
Yeah, yeah. So we've kind of time boxed this to exactly a 30-minute capsule. So we are just completed our 30